morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa on behalf of Cerenade. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have a live webinar on how to customize intake forms step by step. Please note this session is being recorded and we keep our videos in our YouTube channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please go to youtube.com and search for Cerenade Academy and you can watch our recorded videos here. All right, so let's get started. One thing that you should also know is that this PowerPoint presentation that I'm sharing with you today, you can download it. You should download it because it has useful links that you can click on later when you're ready to create your own custom intake forms. We're gonna talk about these topics, but we also have a Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. So we're gonna show you the difference between the client and case profile for those that are new, so that when you're ready to customize, you know exactly where to find the information. Let me, yeah, perfect. Let me know if you guys can hear me fine. And so I'm going to show you how to create custom fields and how to connect them to forms so that when you create your questionnaires, not only you gather the data, but they transfer to the forms. We also have the translation available. And I'm going to show you the difference between creating your own custom intake forms versus using the ones that we have, and you can also copy them. We have a way for you to share these intake forms with your clients with something we call passwordless link. If you guys have Plan C in your account, ideally, right, because it has all the features, well, you should have SMS. So that way you can send them a text message with a passwordless link and they don't have to log in into the client portal to complete the questionnaire. We also have something called alternate view, which I'm going to show you. And the alternate view is for you to simply access the form or the questionnaire instead of sending it to the client. As I said, we're going to talk about resources and support, a Q&A, and upcoming training classes. All right, so let me switch my screen. By the way, you need to have access to the administrator portal. If you want to customize, make sure that you have access to this admin, right, admin account. And really quick, the way you get here, when you normally log in into your caseworker portal, you're going to click on the top right and you're going to see the gear icon that says settings and then click on administrative tools. I always recommend to right click on it and open in a new tab so you can have both of them open. Now, for those who are new, eIMMIGRATION has two levels. One is the contact profile. Let me get to it. So you've got the contact profile, where you have all the details and information about the client, and then you create a case profile with all the forms and right documents, checklists, and everything. So this is more specific to the process. Well, I'm showing you this because when you're creating a questionnaire, it's important that you understand, okay, what is it that I'm looking for? Am I asking the client for, I don't know, like a denial date, or am I asking them for something specific to the case that's under custom, I'm sorry, for specific to the client under custom fields. For example, and I'm going to show you right now, you can use the system to ask questions for your new prospects. How did you hear about the law firm or organization? So you can keep these and also then run a report, use the system as a CRM. Are you tech savvy? Best way to contact you. So you can also utilize eIMMIGRATION for the first encounter with the leads or prospects. And then, of course, we want to create a more specific questionnaire for a matter, you know, TPS or I-45, etc. Okay, so that's the difference, and I recommend that you keep them available. I'm using the same browser window and I'm opening multiple tabs so I can go and test and see if whatever I'm mapping or creating makes sense. Okay, so I'm back in the admin portal, and the first thing I'm going to cover is how to create custom fields. Now, let me explain. Custom fields that you want to create and map to your questionnaires have to come from here, from the client section, not the case section. Even though you can create specific case custom fields, if you want to create a custom intake form, make sure that your custom fields are here. Okay. Now, custom fields could be drop-down menu, date field, text, or a larger text area, a Boolean, which is this little square where you can just select. Basically, if you want to have, let me show you an example, like this one. Best way to contact you would be my header, and these are custom fields: phone, text message, email. So if I run a report and say how many of my clients prefer just email, then you can do that, because then you're going to tell the system, give me only the ones that have this checked or true. Okay, so that's a Boolean type of field. And what else did I miss? Well, text, number, and I already said this one, drop down list. Now for custom fields, this is kind of tricky because the name is more technical, so you cannot have spaces. You can also do like underscore, like for example, service underscore registration, or I don't know, or you can do it all together. I'm going to show you some examples. The title, it's however you're going to see the question. For example, is this the first time that you're here? Are you a new client? Or other dates of birth you have ever used? So if you notice, the name of the field has underscores, or you can have it all together, um, like this one. Trying to find one. And your question is how it's going to look like on the system, in the system. Now we have system client custom fields. So these are the ones that our developers have created. And you can look at the categories if you want to find, for example, I'm going to look at the I-45 custom fields, what they are, what name they have used, and what question is this linked to. In other words, we have questionnaires that have been mapped to these custom fields, and you don't have to redo the whole work. Trust me, I worked on this. So I can tell you from experience that it's a lot easier, and I'm going to show you those tricks that I've learned on how to just copy what's already created by eIMMIGRATION or Cerenade developers, which is right here under system intake forms, versus starting from scratch, creating your own custom intake form. For example, if I go to system intake form and I look at the I-45 questions, I'm going to just copy this one and then make this my own I-45 or adjustment of status questionnaire. Why? Because the yes and no questions that you guys are familiar with are already here, and they have been mapped to a custom field. And so it's better for you to just make a copy of what's already in the system. Okay. And then of course, we're going to talk about how to add questions and templates and layout and all of the options on the left so that you can make it your own. Okay, let me close this. Please let me know if you guys have any questions at any point. Okay, so let's go back to custom fields. So I said click on client custom fields. You're going to click on add custom field, and then just enter the information, again, depending on the type of client and what type of field you want to create. Now, also make sure that when you're creating your questionnaire, it's the same type of field. For example, if in my questionnaire I'm adding a drop-down menu, then make sure that your custom field has the same options, or like a date type of field. It has to match. Now, once you create your custom fields, to keep it organized, I also recommend that you guys create your categories or views as well, because you can separate them by different categories and views. It's a lot easier and faster to identify. And one more thing, recently our developers have enhanced the general info page so that you can pick and choose which custom fields you want to show up on this same screen. Okay, that's also something you can customize from the administrator portal. All right, so let me look at my PowerPoint presentation. Just for those who have connected, we are covering this, and I'm going to show you now how to map these custom fields to your forms. Hi, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Quick question on the business option. Would company contacts all be allowed to access a custom intake form? If you share the form, yes. So remember, you need to create a custom form. It could be for the individual or business. It doesn't matter, but you have to choose a custom field. And yes, they are allowed if you share the intake form. Or you can also, let me switch so I can explain. If you give them permission to log in into the client portal, let's say the corporation, the business client logs in, there's also a feature called questionnaire, which by the way, you guys can disable if you don't want them to see. So if the business client clicks here, they can enter the employee or potential applicant's name, last name, and email. And if they click on show advanced options, they can actually see all your intake forms. So if you want to be specific and say this is for the DS-160, or I don't know, like Starbucks, Starbucks unique custom intake form, something that you want to, share with them by name of, or if you want to keep it generic by matter like these, then all I need to do is uncheck, select the one. Where was the DS-160? Um, I lost it. Oh, right here. So they can choose which questionnaires they want to share with the potential applicant. Okay, and this message that goes out, it's on behalf of the corporation. So again, that's from the client portal. If they want to share the questionnaire to their employees, yes, you can limit this. Just go to their contact profile, click on client access, and then you're gonna see questionnaires here, access to send questionnaire. So just disable it. And you're welcome. And when you, or was your question, or is it necessary to do this on the, oh no, no, it's not necessary. You have both. We have questionnaires that are for employers only. Okay, thank you for the question. So now that we have the custom fields created, then you're gonna go to File, Form Custom Data Population. Now remember, we have videos and articles, and we have a technical support team that will help you when you're doing this. It's not the same as me showing you and you creating it. So please know that we will help you. Okay, when you create a form, for example, I'm going to look for the N400 form. I'm going to open. So let's say that in the N400 form, there's a question for, I think it's this one. Okay, and actually that's why it's pink, because it's been already mapped. There's a question that says date you became a lawful permanent resident. So what I did, I created a custom field for clients to respond to that. And then I come here and I click on the field that I want to map or connect, and it's going to allow me to map it to that custom field. All I need to do is search for the field, which is under client, the name, and then the region. So this form is pulling the data from the alien's profile. So that's why I picked alien. And then just click OK. It will highlight it. By the way, if you guys map or try to map a question that's already mapped in our system, because we have these already mapped, like social, date of birth, you're going to get this notification. So you can customize it. We're going to ask you, are you sure? Because maybe you created a custom field for date of birth that you didn't know we already had. So just be aware of that. Okay. Let me close, because you don't want to overwrite unless you have to, but ideally just customize the ones that are not populating. Okay, so that's it as far as like mapping or linking a custom field to a form. But again, remember, when you're ready to create, just download the PowerPoint presentation that I'm sharing with you today. It has all the instructions. Now it's time for me to show you how to create these custom intake forms. Okay, we're gonna go to custom form templates. You're gonna click on intake forms and then custom intake form. And this is if you want to create one. Oh, here's what you were asking me, individual versus business. Okay. So here's where you want to create your questionnaire or intake form from scratch. Literally just give it a title, add the questions just by clicking. See, when I click on the question, it adds the field or the category. I can drag and drop it if I want, but I've learned that it's also easier to change the numbers here. For example, I want to add the address, but I want to put this after the name. So if I change it to number 2 and I click save, now the address information goes up. Okay, so that's easier than having to drag it all the way up, especially when you have a lot of questions. Okay, so again, on the left hand side, you're gonna click and add the question. So I can ask is this the first time you contact us? I apologize if I misspell something or if I'm typing wrong because my hands are freezing. It's so cold. So I am looking what type of text field. It could be a short text, a text area, date, phone, etc. So if you want to link it to, which is what I'm going to do, link it to a custom field, my custom field has to be the same as this, a text area. And I'll show you right now how to link it or map it to the custom field. Some of these questions, if you look at templates or repeated sections, they're going to save you a lot of time because you can just click and it will give you all the different fields. For example, previous addresses. Maybe I want to ask this differently. Provide only the last 5 years of your previous addresses. Okay. And it's going to allow you to select, if you click on the right hand side, select what exactly. Maybe I don't care for country because I know this is US only, so you can specify, what information you want them to choose from. Same thing here. Okay, and when you're done, just click here to save it. By the way, saving the form, if you click on save, you can save and continue editing the form, or you can save and close. Don't take too long because it happened to me that I left it unattended for more than an hour and then I lost all my work. um, of these new features. Oh, they're actually not new, but I'm surprised clients are discovering these. Yeah, a lot of these have been around, but I'm so glad that you guys are here to learn how to maximize your investment. Because instead of sending multiple questionnaires, you can, for example, create one that's only for a specific form. Oops. And then just add exactly what you need them to complete. Or, like I said, you can have, let me close this. You can have a questionnaire that's already in the system, such as that N400 or I-45, all of those background questions. You can just click select, copy, right? I'm going to say this is for the TPS questionnaire. Oh, what did I do? Okay. And then besides the TPS questions, I can just select, for example, what is your name? So at the bottom, I'm going to move this to number 1, and my question is going to be name. So then just save it, and it's going to, let me scroll all the way up. See, now my question for the name is on top. So that's the first thing you can do is copy the ones that we already have and then just add whatever is important to you. For example, let's add one for multiple choice. Again, number 2. And my questions will be, I don't know, TPS country, for example. And they can add the countries here to choose from like the drop-down menu. Now, you can map these, remember, to the forms. By the way, we have single choice and multiple choice, so that's important for you to know because when I was creating a questionnaire, I added, let's say, the color of eyes or those biographic questions as multiple choice, and technically you should only pick one unless it's ethnicity, or race, sorry. So make sure that you choose single choice. Anyway, so let me scroll all the way up, and then you'll see again my question is here. Now, if you notice, we also have the layout where if you want to make it pretty, you can add header, descriptions, add a line or space to separate these. For example, I want to add a space between the header and the instructions. So I just look at, okay, where do I want to insert? So I'm going to put it above instructions, which is number 4. So when I click vertical space, I just need to remove this, hit 4, and enter or save. So now I want to look at how this is looking. You can preview it. So here's a space between the instructions. Now, if you guys want to add your logo, click on options and you can add the logo and number the questions. Keep in mind, some of these questions probably already have like a number or letter. So when you add numbers to your questions, they might be kind of funky. Let me see. See, I don't know if you want to keep it like that or just use the ones that we already have. Okay, but let me preview. By the way, your logo can be added under admin settings so that it's more personalized. Let me close. We have a couple of questions. Can we add our firm logo? Oh, I think I answered the question. The question was, can we add our firm logo in the headers too? Yeah, so if you haven't yet customized it, let me take you, you're gonna go to the admin, all the way at the bottom where it says tools, click on application settings, and then it's under branding on the right hand side. So this is where you upload your logo, and it should be 300 by 70 pixels, GIF format only. You're welcome. All right, let's continue. So let's say that I have already worked on a questionnaire, which I'm gonna access here. And technically, eventually, you're gonna have a bunch of questionnaires so you can um, narrow down your search. Which I remember I saved it for the date. Yeah, right here. All right, let me open one. I created this example for today's webinar just so you guys can see that this was the general information for individual client questionnaire that gives you all the basic information, right? Phone number, email. You guys can also remove questions. So for example, I don't care for their fax number, so I'm just going to remove that question. And I also, again, want to move maybe the social security number all the way up. So I can rearrange these by dragging and dropping wherever I want. And then it's going to be there. Now, let me continue. I also created a document upload. We get this a lot. Like, can I send a link to my client so they can upload documents? So yes, you can create a very simple questionnaire, but instead of adding questions, you can just keep it as, what's your name? Please upload. What I did, where it says passport number, passport information, I added this question on the left that says document upload. So my clients can upload their passport. In fact, let me just add your current passport. Okay. These questions will map to the I-94 section, date of last entry into the U.S. But if you want to keep track of additional information, make sure that you create your custom fields. Okay. All right. What I did to this general information questionnaire, again, I went to repeated sections and then I added the previous addresses or marriage history, employment history. Another thing that I want to mention is when you add children information, you don't need to add multiple times. Just add it one time because your clients are going to look at this, and if they have more than one child, they're going to click on add another one. Okay, let me close. Another thing that I want you to know is when you guys create a question, for example, this yes or no question, okay? I can ask a question, and then if they say yes, by clicking on this icon, I can have a follow-up question. For example, this is the one I created. Were you referred by someone? Yes, no, NA. If they click yes, my follow-up question will be, if yes, provide the referral name. If it says no, well then, how did you hear about us? And they can pick or type information, depending on the type of custom field that you created. And then, of course, NA. Now, let me show you the next step, which would be mappings. The mappings is where you connect your question to the system. Not just the custom fields, but all of the fields. For example, general information, first name, middle name, last name. Now, let me show you another example that has not yet been mapped. Let me add one here. Notice that as soon as I added that question, my mappings show an indicator that I have a pending item. Okay, so see how it's kind of like highlighted with orange? So if I click here, I choose the category. I'm asking for name, which is under general info, And this is why I was recommending to keep multiple tabs open, because if you don't know, like, where is the, let's say, other names, well, you can always refer to the caseworker portal, open a contact profile, and then look at the fields. For example, here, I don't see other names. It's not under general info. It's under other names. So that's why it's good to know where is it that you're pulling the data from so that you can map it correctly. Then I'm going to choose general info and then the information. By the way, this is a perfect example. I am not seeing general info first and last name and all because it has been leaked already. It has been mapped. Let me remove them so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, see, now that I have removed that, if I click on search fields, they appear. So if that happens to you when you're trying to map a field that you don't see here, it's because most likely you already have it mapped to another question, or the type of question that you're trying to map it to, it's not the same format. Okay, I'm going to remove that question, go back, remove, go back, and then continue mapping. So the ones that I removed that are pending, notice what happens when I pick first name. When I go to the second one, first name is not showing anymore. Why? Because it's already been mapped. This is middle name and last name and maiden name. Okay. Um, on the right hand side, you see required, so you can make these mandatory fields. Next is the translation. We offer translations available. If you want to add a language on the left, I actually removed most of these, but the way it works, you have to click review to make sure everything looks fine. For example, these questions I had to translate to Spanish, I don't know Korean, but what I did is I made sure that they have the correct translation. And so just go over the translation, make sure everything looks fine. And then if it does, then, oops, let me go back. If everything looks fine, then you scroll down and you have to click submit. In other words, you are accepting the translation. If you don't want to add a language, you can just close it or remove it here. I'm going to delete and click OK. And let me just keep French and Portuguese. There we go. Now there's nothing pending there. And I get to save and close. Let me show you what happens when you want to send these to your clients. Okay, we're gonna go to the contact profile and I'm gonna click on create questionnaire. I'm gonna choose from the option that says send to client. Although you can, if you want, you can print it. And if you want to send a questionnaire or intake form to your client via the portal, you click here. But if you want to send the passwordless link, you click here. Remember, you're not going to be able to send a text message if you don't have that optional module included. So here's a questionnaire that I created somewhere right here. I can preview it if I click here. I'm going to scroll down and save. Now, here's what I was telling you. You can send an SMS. Make sure your client has a cell phone in their profile. You can send an email, or sometimes you may use WhatsApp. So you can copy the clipboard and then paste it in, your WhatsApp window. If you want the client to receive this questionnaire right away in Spanish for the verification language, you can also change the language. Okay, so once your client opens the link, they'll be asked to verify their identity. So that's what it means. We're not translating the questionnaire. It's just a verification page. I'm gonna send it via email, but I don't think this is a correct email. But just so you guys, so you can see what happens. So my subject would be, um, por favor, complete el cuestionario, or please complete the questionnaire. And I'm going to, actually, let me enter my address. It's important that you guys click here to copy the specific URL or link and replace it with this. I used the Control C, Control V as a shortcut. Why do you need to do that? Because we're not directing the client to the portal. We want them to click on this specific questionnaire link, right? Because it's a passwordless link, and then email that. Let me see if we have any other questions. Are this system intakes available in several languages already? Sorry, I don't recall if you said this. Yes, they are, not all of them. So it's important that you click on questionnaire, open or preview them. For example, like I know these are not the background questions, but all of them, like general information, history of employment, history of address, they are. So if I, let's say, open history of address and I want to translate to Spanish, it will translate the instructions and the questions. So yes, these are already available. And that's why I was saying if you want to kind of like add or come up with, like a one single questionnaire for a specific form, then you can do that. You can combine them. Okay, let me continue. So what I did, I'm waiting for the email. Let me check and show you guys that I've received it. So right here, por favor, complete el cuestionario. And here's the link. We're going to click on it. It's going to ask us, oh, you know what? The reason why it's not letting me because it's on the same, I think I'm getting an error message because it's on the same browser. Okay, anyway, so when the client gets a link and they confirm their identity, they're going to get to the questionnaire. When they enter data and they submit back to you, you're gonna get an email notification from us, and you go to your mailbox. In your mailbox, you're gonna go to questionnaires and forms, and the question is gonna be there. So, for example, this TPS client, I'm gonna open it. And if there were any changes, it's going to be highlighted in pink, which this person didn't add anything. Sorry, these are individuals that are testing. I'm trying to find, let's see this one. Okay, so that's what I was trying to get to. When a client makes a correction or overwrites, you're going to see a red field. If you click on it, it shows you what was there before. Obviously, in this case, it's blank because there was nothing there. And so you decide if you want to accept the questionnaire or reject it and send it back to the client. Any questions about how to create a questionnaire or add a translation, how to send them, please let me know. I want to show you now how to use the alternate view. Mm, Let me ask you something. How do you guys prefer to capture your client's info? If you can vote on the screen, please. All right, I'm waiting for the participants to vote. Well, now that you guys know you can create your own questionnaires, I'm pretty sure it's going to be sending the questionnaires, right? Instead of typing the info manually. But it really depends on how you guys, let me close this. Let's see. Yes, 67% by sending questionnaires to clients. All right, so it really depends on the type of client. If your client is not tech savvy, you're not going to be able to send them a questionnaire. And that's the thing, like if they are not tech savvy, what you can do is go to the contact profile, click on alternate view on the right hand side, and then you can open the same questionnaire. I usually recommend that you print it, give it to them, and they'll bring back the paper with all the answers. So it's easier for you to just pull the same questionnaire that you created or that you printed For example, what is this? Welcome initial questionnaire. Oh, this is too simple. I was trying to find one that has consultation intake form. Okay. Well, this one doesn't have the logo, but you get the idea. So if you notice, you don't have to start from scratch. Whatever you have already captured, maybe during your phone interaction with this prospect, it's going to be there. It auto populates. In fact, you can print it too. So all you need to do is review and add additional information. For example, it's populating the children's info and probably the spouse or all the family members. And I'm going to close this. Let me open another one. Trying to find the, well, let's use the traditional general info one. So again, if I make changes, for example, let's say the date of birth, I'm going to say this is a correct date of birth. And I save it using the alternate view. You should be able to see my screen. Please let me know if you're not. Okay, you are. So I save the changes. When I close this, the date of birth has been updated. So sometimes instead of printing it or emailing the questionnaires, you can just open alternate view. You have the client in front of you or on the phone. You can just open the questionnaire that you want to use and then answer it instead of writing on a piece of paper or typing anywhere else, right? Because it stays here that you can, like I said, print it, provide it to the client, and also if you have already mapped these, they can populate the forms when you open the case. Okay, so that's the alternate view. Let me see if you guys have any other questions about custom intake forms. I see some people are clicking on a different screen, so that's why I'm waiting for them to. Um, I'm waiting for you guys to vote. Do you have any questions at this point? Okay, I'm just going to continue. Thank you so much for voting. All right, so let's go back. All right, so we talked about, I'm just going to quickly recap for those that are connecting. We talked about how to create custom fields that are additional fields that you can utilize, and then also how to map these or link them to actual forms so they can auto-populate. We went over how to create custom intake forms and add translations, and also the difference between creating your own versus using the system intake forms that you can copy and utilize. We have advised our developers to please enhance the feature, so it might be in the feature, so that you can combine two. You can copy an existing one already, so that's good. Also, we talked about how to send these questionnaires via a passwordless link. And lastly, what is the alternate view and how to use it? I put the links right here so you guys can click on them. Um, Click on handouts and you should be able to download this PowerPoint presentation. All right, so it's time for me to cover some of the resources and support that you have when you have questions. So you can give us a call Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 Pacific Standard Time, except on holidays. You can also email us 24/7. That's our email address. Or, which is a lot easier, on your home screen, if you click on the top right corner, you should see the help icon and click on technical support message to send us a message. Or you can send your feedback to our developers. We do these live trainings or webinars for free on Fridays at 10 a.m. And we also have a podcast. It's called Cerenade Snacks. We have a forum page on Facebook. You should join. I put the link right here because you get a lot of feedback from other users, things that you probably didn't know. When they ask a question, then you benefit as well. And we have the YouTube channel. Please, if you have not yet subscribed, I need you to do me a favor. Go to youtube.com, click on subscribe, and let's let's see if we can get to 2,000 by the end of the year. If you can help me subscribe, that way you get the notifications when we have new videos, especially when there are new features that you want to know about. All right, let's continue. Some of the questions that you guys sent prior to today's webinar were how to use the USCIS tracker. So it's an optional module that we offer called USCIS Visa Bulletin Times Tracker. And that one emails you a notification when the case is eligible for processing. I put the link right here. Please click on the link to learn more. Next question is how to schedule appointments through Cerenade. You can use a regular calendar. Again, I'm going to show you how to use these, don't worry, but I want to answer the question. Even though we have a regular calendar that you can sync with Google or Office 365 Outlook, we also have an optional module called Acuity. So that one helps you and your clients because they can see your availability instead of having to check every single time your calendar. How to customize my new cases, and I sorry forgot the question mark there. Go to the admin, click on case processes. Now, if the person who asked the question is here, please clarify what did you mean by customize my new cases? I assume that you were talking about customizing the process, and let me explain. In the admin portal, if you go to case processes and you want to customize the forms checklist, the documents checklist, steps, everything associated to a case, all you need to do is add the case process, or even better, insert the process right here so you don't have to rearrange it. And then just click on the little circles to customize. For example, for when we do an N400, we want to have the N400 and the G28. And then when the paralegals click on process steps, they know exactly what they need to do from when they open the case until it's closed. Everything, documents, checklists. So I don't know if that's what you meant by how to customize my new cases, but that's what it means. And when you guys create a new case, which is what I'm trying to do right here, I'm going to click on create case. All of these drop down menus, you can also customize them. So if you're new and you have not yet taken your admin training, I highly recommend you do, because that's what we talked about when we do the admin training. We're going to show you all of these customizations. The other question was that the USCIS Visa Bulletin Times Tracker. So I need to go to a case to show you this. If you don't know this, but just so you learn a trick, time saving shortcut. If you click select, there's a load more data button, so that way you can save time by going straight to the right place. In this case, could be shipments or calendar or anything, right? Appointments. So I'm going to click on documents, because what I'm looking for is right here: immigrant visas and notices. So if I have the receipt and I'm already subscribed to the USCIS Visa Bulletin Times Tracker, I'm going to click on Add a Notice, enter the number, the filing date, and the center, the name of the form, and the classification, and it will auto-populate from the USCIS processing times table. So when this case is eligible for processing, you get an email notification, but you can also click on the link and it will take you to a pop-up window to see the status of the case. This was obviously fake, so I'm not gonna get actual updates. Um, so that's the USCIS Times Tracker that you asked about. And then the calendar, if you click on the calendar, you can sync to Google or Outlook. And again, if you want to here we go. If you want to subscribe to Acuity Scheduling, please call our sales team so they can give you a quote. Um, but I highly recommend that you consider Acuity, because it's easier for your clients to see, okay, I'm preparing for my interview, for example, for citizenship. I want to book that type of appointment, or versus, a prospect, I want to book a consultation appointment. So that's customizable. Um, if you create an appointment within eIMMIGRATION, you can pick the calendar. So if your staff shares um, their calendar, this becomes like a general calendar. So I can choose the recipient or the the calendar, and then create the appointment. Also, really quick, make sure that you link the client or the case so that it's faster for you to locate the appointment. A question on the case. Sorry, I'm reading a question. If there's a question on the case general information screen, could we add a field on this screen that would allow us to enter a USCIS receipt number there? So this is what you're talking about right here, the general information case window. We don't have a way for you to add an additional, such as what we have for here for the client general info, where you can add a custom field. Uh, my recommendation is to simply just go to the documents, and then it took me 2 extra clicks, if you don't mind. I'm trying to think if, give me 1 second, because I know we have the client overview, which can be customized. So if you want to add or customize this section too, you go to your settings or user preferences. You're going to click on client overview, and I'm trying to see if I can add case, well, visa, other documents. It doesn't let me add the case receipt, sorry. And that's the client overview that you can customize. The other thing that you can also do if you want, because not every, I don't think people use case name. They go by case number. So what you can do is, instead of using this field for case name, you can relabel it and then type the receipt if that's what you want. For example, go to the admin, click on messages, and then type case name, and then overwrite it. I'm going to say USCIS receipt, and then refresh. Sorry, I'm taking you. Let me refresh. Okay, so that's what I did. And let me bring it back before I get in trouble. So you can um, relabel or rename the fields if you just go to the admin and go to messages. We don't recommend it, and the reason why is because when you call for support, or when there's like a, for example, we talked about the questionnaires, like if I want to link it to case name, or when you call for support, we're looking for the receipt. You might be referring to this that you did, but we know that the USCIS receipts go here, so it could create a confusion. But yeah, if that works for you, by all means, go ahead. Perhaps have the field linked directly to the USCIS case status section instead of a separate part of the notice sections. Yeah, I also recommend, you guys know more because you're the ones that use the system more often. So please click on feedback, and anything that you guys like or dislike, let us know so that we can consider that for a feature enhancement. Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, so I think that's it on my end. Let me confirm. These are the upcoming classes or live trainings that we have. We're gonna have efficient and time-saving tricks and shortcuts on the 9th. And on the 16th, a quick overview of the most popular modules. Please know we're going to be closed for the holidays. Um, yes, okay, thank you. Yes, I think reaching out to development team helps a lot, because that way you explain not only what you want, but why you need it there, or what feature you need, and why. So thank you. So again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's called Cerenade Academy. And we also have a forum group on Facebook. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything in the podcast. As always, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you learned something new. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe. Don't forget to download the PowerPoint. Thank you so much. You too. Take care. Happy holidays, everyone. If you have any questions, because we still have time, I'm connected, so you can message me and I can answer your specific questions before you go. Sorry, I was muted. So there was a question about the follow-up questions, and this is what we talked about. When you create a question that's yes, no, or NA, if they click on this icon if you click on this icon, so when they respond yes, you want to ask a follow-up question. If yes, provide the referral name, or if not, and they click no, the follow-up question will be, if not, how did you hear about us? So the mapping has to match here your question. So the mapping for were you referred by someone, yes, no, and if yes, provide the referral name. It's a custom field that has the same formatting, either text, drop-down menu. Okay, so that's what, and you can, let me see, I'm gonna preview here. If they say, yes, I was referred by someone, if yes, provide your referral name. So this is how it's gonna look like. And then if not, how did you hear about us? All right, I hope that helps, but thank you for your question. All right, so we don't have any other questions, so we're going to close and end this webinar. Thank you again for attending today. We hope you learned something new. Have a great weekend and stay safe.